This is episode 1 of Spidersight, but yours truly, Tirzah M.M. Hawkins. Hungry. A soft, fur-covered leg reaches out and strokes the little girl's long blonde hair. A single claw appears and caresses the gentle curve of her chin. The gesture isn't loving, but it's also not devoid of affection. He needs her. A deep gnawing fills his being from his fangs to his very soul. It's been a long time since he is fed. At times, he loses track of the years, but he thinks it's been close to 90 by now. It's not a terrible stretch compared to seasons in the past. What makes it the most difficult is how close at hand the feast is. The last few years of any stretch of famine are the most difficult to remain patient during, while he waits for them to mature. The last one blossomed early, providing him with food shortly after she turned 4. But she was a spunky little thing who enjoyed being devious. Those were fun times. This one has recently turned 5, but she is a much gentler soul who at this point wouldn't even hurt a fly. There is a loving innocence about her. His feeding will be more difficult for her to handle. The pain she will feel will be another form of nourishment. He almost feels sorry for her, but the ever-growing yearning for satisfaction consumes all other emotions except for frustration. The inability to get through to her and communicate directly is maddening. He wonders if the child senses his hunger, as she constantly tries to feed him from her plate when she eats. He'd almost be tempted to try a bite if that was possible. But the separation, the chasm between them is narrowing. Soon he will be able to break through and talk to her. Right now, it is like trying to talk to someone who is awake while you are still partially asleep. The message is jumbled, but the veil between them is dissipating. It won't be long now. After another stroke of her wavy gold hair, he settles down on the pillow next to her head. As the reverie of the feast near at hand continues in his head, a drop of venom falls from his fangs and dissipates into the air. Then he sleeps. Eye appointment. Melissa Carter, the nurse in the bright pink scrubs with fluffy white sheep on them, calls out. She stands at the door that separates the waiting room from the doctor's offices with a chart in her hand. I leap up at the sound of my name, and the book I was reading falls from my lap to make a loud thud in the quiet room. Dr. Wilson is ready to see you, the nurse says when Mommy and I look up at her. I hastily pick up the book and hold it in my crossed arms. Missy, where does the book go? Mommy asks as she tucks her short auburn hair behind her ear. With us? I say, looking up confused. I brought it. I hold the book out for my mother to see. It's my book about all different kinds of spiders. There is one large spider on the cover, surrounded by a few smaller ones. Mommy shudders at the picture and holds her hand out to block it from sight. She doesn't like spiders and will sometimes scream if one surprises her. Daddy is the one who bought the book for me and the only one who will read it with me. Okay, she's waiting for us. Mom gently pushes me forward. I smile at the nurse as we approach and do my best to remain calm, though my heart is pounding with excitement. It's my first eye appointment, and I've been looking forward to it all morning. I love being the center of attention. As we walk through the door that the nurse holds open, I see the familiar picture of a basket full of little orange kittens sitting on a blue checkered tablecloth hung on the wall in front of us. It makes me grin every time I see the cute kittens. When we come here for regular doctor visits, we always turn to the right. Today, the nurse directs us to the left where the eye doctor works. And how are you today, Melissa? The nurse asks me. Even in my excitement, my shyness kicks in, and I put an arm around my mom's leg. I'm fine, thank you, I say. It's strange to hear someone call me by my full name, and I don't really like it. It makes me feel like I'm in trouble. I tug at my mom's pants to get her attention. What is it, Missy? She strokes my hair reassuringly. She doesn't hear me when I first speak, so she leans over. Can she call me Missy? I whisper. I know it's rude to correct an adult. Mom laughs and looks to the nurse. She prefers her nickname, Missy. No problem. I'll make a note of it here in your chart. She writes something and then looks at me with a kind smile. Right this way, Missy. As we walk the length of the hall, we pass some doors that are open and some that are closed. I imagine great machines are behind the closed door, something similar to the X-ray machine I know is on the other end of the building, only this one sees deep into your eyes. I imagine them using the machine to look into my eyes and see my brain. Would they be able to see what I'm thinking? I shiver. The nurse leads us into the very last room at the end of the hallway. Inside is a large black chair with many attachments coming off it. The nurse directs me to sit in the big chair. Go ahead and have a seat, Missy. Don't touch anything, Missy, Mom says as she sits in the plain chair across from the door. I won't, Mommy. I keep my hands solidly on the book in my lap. Across the room is a chart with letters pinned up on the wall. To my left is a large poster with a giant eye that stares unblinkingly. Many words are printed on this poster, with lines going to different parts of the eye. Wow, you must really like spiders, the nurse says, pointing to my book. Uh-huh, they're my favorite animal. I hold the book out so she can see the cover better. That's very unique. I don't think I've ever heard of spiders being someone's favorite animal. The nurse walks to the door. Dr. Wilson will be in shortly, she says before she leaves, closing the door behind her. I kick my legs gently against the base of the chair as I wait. All the weird parts coming off the chair would make me nervous, except that I have seen Dr. Wilson use them on my mother before. I hope he doesn't use anything strange on me or anything that would make my feet hurt. Fred's tiny feet tickle me as he moves down from my shoulder onto the arm of the chair. I briskly rub my arm to get rid of the itchy feeling. Fred often crawls a little ways from me when he knows I'm not going anywhere for a while. I think he likes to explore. Everything must look so giant to him. Fred's been with me for as long as I can remember, but no one else can see him. He's big. I have to use both my hands to hold him, and he often sits on my shoulder. I make sure to walk carefully so he doesn't fall off. His body and every one of his 8 legs is covered in fine hairs that are soft to stroke. I named him Fred after Fred on the Lucy show that I watch with Mommy and Daddy. I imagine that if Fred were a human, he would be a big, bumbling, lovable person like Fred Mertz. Fred is the reason we are here. Well, he and the other spiders. No one else can see Fred and the other spiders. No one believes they exist. But I'm not making them up. They follow me wherever I go. There are so many, I can't count them all. Right now, they are spread out over the walls and ceiling of the room. I can sense they feel a little cramped in the tight quarters. I wonder if Dr. Wilson will be able to see them. He is an eye doctor, after all. Maybe he has some special glasses that he can wear to see them. If he does, I'll ask him to give them to Mommy so she can see my spiders and know that I'm not making them up. Fred pauses at the end of the armrest, and I imagine he is thinking about leaping to the floor. I remember Daddy reading to me in my spider book that certain spiders like Fred are delicate and can shatter like glass. Be careful, Fred, I whisper to him, forgetting in my worry that he and I are not alone. Realizing what I've done, I look at my mom, my heartbeat quickening. She doesn't like it when I talk to Fred. What did you say, Missy? She glances up from her magazine. Nothing, Mommy. My fingers pick at the edges of my book. You said something. What is it, Pumpkin? I look down at my hands. I was talking to Fred, I say meekly. My mom stiffens before returning to her magazine with a sigh. I turn my gaze back to Fred, who has unwittingly been a troublemaker. It's not his fault. He doesn't know any better. Fred is much more interesting than the other spiders. They don't do much except follow me. When I go somewhere, they all follow me. And when I stay somewhere for any length of time, they spread out in the room. I often feel as if they're watching me, waiting for me to do something. I've danced and sang for them before because their lives seem a little boring, but they never seem to pay attention unless I'm moving away. Dr. Wilson enters the room, and it instantly feels lighter. He's a jolly old man who always puts me at ease. Good morning, Missy. He sits down in his wheeled office chair and turns to face me, my chart in his hands. How are you today? Everything about Dr. Wilson is round. His belly is round, his face is round, each cheek is round, even his glasses are round. It makes me smile to look at him. Good, I say, suddenly feeling a little shy again. Dr. Wilson has always been nice to me, but I know I'll have to talk about my spiders, which Mommy doesn't like. Hearing about them makes her sad and worried. And what are you here for? His eyes get wide for a moment as he looks at me curiously, adding to his roundness. I giggle. For you to look at my eyes? I open them nice and wide while leaning forward. Then I sit back and laugh. That's right. Do you mind if I do? I promise it won't hurt a bit. Okay. I sit up straight in the chair. Very good then. He pulls a pen light out of his shirt pocket and shines it at my eyes. Go ahead and look up. We're just going to have a look-see. Make sure they are working correctly. This was something new I hadn't thought about before. What can he do for my eyes if they aren't working correctly? He hasn't been able to fix my mommy's eyes so that she can see my spiders. Still, I obediently follow the directions. They look normal so far. Look to your left. It takes me a second to remember which way is left. The light makes my eyes water, but I do my best to keep them open as he shines it in first one eye and then the other. How old are you, Missy? Look to your right. 5. I hold up my whole hand. That's a good age, a very smart age. Now look back here, right at my nose. He puts a round finger on his big round nose. I can't help but smile when I look at it. And now look down. He gently pulls my eyelids up. Are you in school? I nod my head. I just started kindergarten. He puts his pen light back into his shirt pocket. How do you like it? It's okay. Thinking of school makes me sad. I mournfully kick my feet against the chair a couple of times. Just okay? He frowns. I like my teachers, and this girl Becky is really nice, but the other kids make fun of me. Why do they make fun of you? Dr. Wilson hands me a pair of glasses with one red lens and one kind of blue one. Because they can't see my spiders. Ah, yes, the spiders. That is why you are here, isn't it? Uh-huh. I put the glasses on. He holds out a paper. On it is a dragonfly, which looks lifelike, as if it could just fly off at any time. Try to grab the dragonfly's wings for me. I reach out where I think the wing is, but my hand touches nothing but air. Very good. I'll take the glasses back, please. He puts the glasses and the piece of paper with the dragonfly into a desk drawer behind him and swivels around to me. Leaning back into his chair, he crosses his arms and asks, Where are these spiders now? I glance beyond him to my mom, who is watching us with a worried furrow between her eyes. Her finger holds her place in the now closed magazine on her lap. One of her feet nervously taps the floor. It would be easier to talk about the spiders without her here. Looking back at the doctor, I say, They're all around us, on the walls, the ceiling, on the floor, on your desk. I glance around the room to see if I've missed any places. Dr. Wilson's eyes widen. How many spiders do you see? Mommy and Daddy have asked me this question before, but I still don't know the real answer. Too many to count, I say and shrug. And why are they here, Missy? This is a new question for me, but I say the first thing that comes to my mind. Because they're my friends. Dr. Wilson leans forward. His face has been serious the whole time. I don't doubt that he believes me. How did they get here? He asks. I laugh. In the car. Mom drove us. Fair enough. And what do these spiders do? They just follow me and watch me. Except for Fred. He hangs out with me. He likes to go explore when we go places. But he never goes far. Sometimes I think I'm going to lose him, but he always finds his way back to me. Dr. Wilson lifts his brows inquisitively. Who is this Fred? He's the biggest of my spiders. He's really soft, kind of furry. I lean forward in my chair, willing to trust Dr. Wilson with a secret. I like him the best, I say in a hushed voice, as I don't want to hurt the feelings of the other spiders. He nods understandingly. Very good. Let's continue with the exam, shall we? Do you know your letters? Of course I do. I said I was 5. That's right. Okay. See that chart on the wall? He points across the office. I nod my head. Uh-huh. What can you read on that chart? A, E, B. There's a spider over the next one. C, D. Another spider. M, P. Very good, Missy. I think that's enough for the day. I'm going to ask your mother to step out in the hallway for a minute. Will you sit right here? I nod my head and smile. I'm used to adults having private talks about me. Mommy and Daddy often talk about me at night when I'm supposed to be in bed and they don't know I'm listening. I've overheard Mommy talking on the phone to Aunt Ida about my condition. My mom jumps up when Dr. Wilson stands. I know she's eager to hear what he has to say, wanting to know if I can be fixed. Is it serious, doctor? She asks before they're even out of the room. Calm down, Elizabeth. She's not going to go blind today, Dr. Wilson says with a chuckle and puts a comforting hand on her arm, leading her from the room. The door doesn't fully latch behind them, and I sneak over and lean close to the crack to hear. I don't think there's anything wrong with Missy's eyesight, Mrs. Carter. Everything there checks out okay. What are you saying? My mom's voice is strained. That her vision is fine as far as I can tell. Then what can it be, doctor? I imagine my mom shifting from side to side like she always does when she's upset. I think that Missy has a very active imagination. Does she often tell stories like this? I pull my head back, frowning. I thought Dr. Wilson believed me, but he's calling me a liar. It's wrong to lie. Mommy tells me that every time I talk about my spiders. My hands curl into little fists, and I have to snip back some tears. The hand on the back of my neck and arm stands on end. The room feels colder and darker. I can still hear the adults talking. Actually, the spiders are the only thing that she has ever made up like this. Otherwise, she is very practical for her age. Just give her some time then. She'll grow out of it. Disappointed, my mom sighs deeply. What did she expect to find out here today? I let out a sigh too. Dr. Wilson is now just another grown-up convinced that I am pretending to see the spiders. My sense of being alone deepens. There is no one for me to talk to. My mother and father don't believe me. The kids at school make fun of me. I look around the room at the hundreds of watchful eyes. They aren't my friends. They don't play with me. Fred plays with me, but he can't speak. Sometimes I know what he's feeling. What good is it to see something so wonderful as all these beautiful spiders and not be able to share it with anyone? The door bumps into me as my mom and Dr. Wilson come back into the room. Mom's look is stern. She knows I was listening. What are you doing, Missy? I don't want her to know I was being bad. I say the first lie that comes to my mind. Looking for Fred? Her eyes narrow in disapproval. Maybe Fred wants to stay here with Dr. Wilson, she suggests. No! My voice is shrill in the small room. I'm horrified. Fred is my best friend. I won't leave him behind. Then I wonder if I could leave him behind, even if I wanted to. I never ask the spiders to come with me, or tell them I'm going somewhere. They just scurry after me and end up where I am. Still, I like knowing where Fred is. It reassures me. I'd miss him so much, I add. My mom rolls her eyes. Whatever you say, Missy. She turns to the doctor. Dr. Wilson, if you think of anything else, please let me know, especially if you think there are any other beneficial tests that we could do for Missy. She collects her purse and reaches out her hand to me. Come on, Missy, let's go. I spot Fred under the chair where my mom's purse was and swoop down to scoop him up before taking her hand. All the spiders know that we're going somewhere. They're alert and ready to move, clustered close to me. Except for one. I see him on the desk where Dr. Wilson set down my chart. I guess he is staying behind. I'm puzzled, but I know that I won't miss just one. Maybe he'll bite Dr. Wilson for not believing me. I don't know where the thought came from, but it makes me giggle inside a little. I don't really want Dr. Wilson hurt, or at least very much. He did hurt my feelings. Yes, of course, Elizabeth, Dr. Wilson responds. Then he turns to me, leaning over, his hands on his knees. Have a very good day, Missy. I bet they have a treat for you at the desk for being so good and cooperative today. Bye, I say curtly, without a smile. I'm still mad at Dr. Wilson for calling me a liar. Mommy says that lies are ugly things that can get out of hand and hurt people. Mom leads me down the hallway to the desk that is just before the exit. The lady behind the counter shows me the treat basket filled with suckers and stickers, but I don't want one. My spirit is crushed. I was hoping for something good to come from this doctor visit, but nothing has. I was ready for someone to believe me, but I'm still alone in my world surrounded by spiders. I look down at Fred in my hands. Have I made him up? And if I have, how can I feel his delicate hairs as they poke my fingers? I've tried to pretend to have a pony before, but none has shown up with as much substance as Fred has. Mom pays for the visit and confirms my father's appointment for the following day. All right, Missy, let's go. I sigh and place Fred on my shoulder and wonder what the spider that stayed behind is going to do. I hope you enjoyed episode 1. A little background on the story. I was probably 12 or 13 when I wrote this as a 5-page short story, and since then it has been rewritten multiple times into a full-length novel. Currently, Spidersight is available for you to continue reading on Kindle Vella. Be sure to take a moment to like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is that you do to know when the next video or podcast is coming out. And there will be links to continue reading or to find all of my stories in the show notes, so be sure to check those out. Thanks again for listening, and be blessed.